Do you finish something that you worked really hard on, and even before you catch your next breath, you're on to the next thing? What if the reason you can't feel satisfied has nothing to do with ingratitude and everything to do with a pattern that you just were never taught to break? What if celebrating yourself is a skill and you just never learned it? Hey, it's your girl, Dr. Nina. It is so good to be back here on Sunday. I hope you guys are liking these short episodes. I've had such a fun time recording them. And today we're going to talk a little bit about celebration. And if you are a perfectionist, a high achiever, maybe you have an interesting relationship to celebration. It's not uncommon and it's okay. I actually was preparing for this episode and recording it, and I was thinking about the music that I love to celebrate to, because I'm just a big music person ever since I was little. And I just think music is such a good way to kind of release your stress. And there's a typical music for every mood. And I was thinking about if I want to hear something sad, maybe I'll listen to some Evanescence. Do you remember Evanescence? Okay. Yeah. This is going back to me being a millennial here, but dude, people slept on Evanescence. They had some good stuff, down to celebrating to something like Fergie, the Black Eyed Peas, or there's just so many different amazing types of music from our era of being millennials. I would love to hear in the comments if you have a song that you hype yourself up to, or a song you like to celebrate to. I was listening to Lupe Fiasco earlier today, which is totally music from my college years. And he had a song called Superstar. And I remember anytime I got a good grade on a test or something in college, I would blast that song in my in my headphones and walk down the quad and feel so excited. So yeah, that kind of got me into the vibe for the episode today. And when I'm thinking about celebration, we were never really taught to celebrate, and it's cultural, it's systemic, it's all the things. I was thinking back to even my own life. Of course, there might be cultural festivities you might celebrate, or birthdays, milestones like anniversaries. Someone has a baby, you celebrate. But there's so many events, experiences, milestones that we just don't learn to celebrate, especially in the in-between those big milestones, but they're just as important. And if we're thinking about self-worth, self-love, if we're constantly criticizing what we've done or continuing to look for the next thing, then we're really not able to increase our self-worth, build that muscle, because we're always looking ahead. And I want you to think for a second about the person who, and maybe it's you or it's someone you know, that you accomplish something, you maybe sit in that satisfaction for 30 seconds. And then you're just on to the next thing. What else is on my to-do list? What else needs to happen at work? And there's barely any time to just marinate in what you've accomplished, marinate in what you've done. And this is nothing to highlight and say you're doing something wrong, because maybe that style that you become accustomed to has helped you and has assisted in helping you become who you are today, the successful, accomplished person you are. Maybe that's helped you because you are thinking about everything. You are thinking about the gaps and the loopholes and brainstorming every option for how something could go wrong. And maybe that skill that you've developed over years and years of practice has gotten you to a level of achievement that you recognize is great. Maybe you accomplish many things by being that way. So let's not take away that that's helped you in some ways. However, that comes with some balanced, measured in between, which I feel like I'm going to be talking a lot about on this podcast, is the in between. We don't have to go all the way to the wall with things, and we don't have to not do anything at all. But what is the in between, and what are some boundaries we can place around it so that we can A, preserve our peace, and B, celebrate ourselves and not wait for our boss to say congratulations, not wait for our family to say you've done this important thing, not wait for your friend to recognize you. How can we recognize ourselves? When we think about perfectionism, I like to think about this phrase that I read that says, perfectionism is like a mountain with no peak. So if you think about that, the summit keeps changing, it keeps rising, and you keep going for the next thing. And what does that feel like in the body? It feels exhausting. It's like being on a hamster wheel and you're not getting off, you're not going nowhere. It's rough and it turns into burnout and nobody wants to feel burned out. It's rough out there. It's already overwhelming. There's so much to think about in the world. It's maddening. And on top of it, you're on a hamster wheel. Go, 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 go. Next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing. Never really giving our bodies a chance to recalibrate, to integrate to the next level, to feel everything in the moment and say, I made it and I deserve to be here. And so for those of us that don't celebrate, maybe even someone saying congratulations to us feels uncomfortable. Maybe we say thank you. Maybe we get as far as to say thank you. Like the first step is like we wipe it away. Someone's like, congratulations, you're awesome. You crushed it. Yeah. Oh, no, no, no. It's not really that big of a deal. Like first step is like just wiping it away. Like way too uncomfortable. Can't do it. Can't be in that feeling. The second step is just saying thank you, accepting it, and then immediately redirecting the conversation to something else because it feels so uncomfortable. And maybe the third step, so on. Maybe the third step is like you say thank you and then you say an extra thing. Yeah, I worked really hard on that project. I'm really happy that it went through. So there's steps to things. And I'm curious, as you're hearing me talk about it, what step you're in, what you think you do when someone congratulates you or someone brings up an accomplishment that was highlighted for you. I want to invite a little curiosity here because if you've ever felt shameful or guilty for not welcoming in celebration, for not feeling happy enough after a good thing has happened to you, this episode is for you. So I want to give you a lot of compassion because we've all been there at some point. So why does this happen? Why can't we love ourselves loudly and just celebrate? Because understanding the why helps us not beat ourselves up over it. It also helps us give a little more awareness, more self-compassion to a cycle that plays out for a lot of us. You're definitely not alone. So the first thing I want to think about is the brain. So our brains are wired for achievement, especially if you've ever identified with being a perfectionist. High achievers are wired to see the gaps. They're wired to see what is missing, what's next, what's the next level that I need to get to in order to make this thing happen. And so our brain is not wired to slow down and to process where we are right now. And so it's like eating an entire beautiful meal and then still being hungry after because it's just insatiable. It's like the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. So if you're thinking, oh, that's me, or you might be thinking that's me in some areas, but not other areas, that's also helpful to know. I want to be very clear that none of us live in absolutes. And so for one person, they might say, oh, my brain functions like that only at work, but at home, I'm relaxed. I don't care how things look. It's not a big deal. Then, okay, maybe home is not an area that you feel that way and your brain is not trained to think that way there. So, and also it has to do with our conditioning. And I talk about this a little later in the episode, but there might be areas where you were conditioned to achieve and to be great. And there might be other areas where, in sports, maybe your parents told you, just do the best you can and go out there and have fun. You're there to make friends. And so maybe in that area, when it comes to your health, your wellness and group activities, you're not competitive. You're not trying to do any of that. You're just there for a good time. So I want you to think of that nuance and how that looks in your own life. Another thing I want to name is the system, because I think that's what's missing a lot of times when I hear conversations about perfectionism. The system holds us into a spot where we need to achieve at all times. Think about it. When I'm a millennial, so when I was going to college, it's sort of like you go to college, you get the degree, and that's how you get the job. So it's always the next thing. I think culture has really relaxed in that area. I don't hear that message a lot out there. Like, oh, you have to put yourself in debt to get a job. I think people are a little bit more flexible in their thinking around that, which I think is a really good thing that culture has evolved in that way. But I'm curious what you think about that. The system is setting us up for a life of always reaching the next goal. Think about it. If you're a lawyer, a doctor, whatever, I'm thinking about even in my own life, you get one training site as a graduate student, and then you start your first week and you're already applying for the next thing. You barely have time to set your backpack down, set your coat down, and you're already told, okay, you've got to apply for the next thing. And the same thing goes for many different types of jobs. I think about one of my close friends who is a dermatologist. And I remember when she was, I think, just finishing med school at the time, but there was always some board exam. And then the next time I would see her, she's studying for another board exam and another one and another one, and no time to slow down. The conversation was never, oh, I'm chill. I'm relaxed for the summer doing absolutely nothing. Wouldn't that be nice? Shouldn't we be able to do that even if we want to get these professional degrees? Shouldn't we be able to have the summer off? It feels like that it's just never ending. So the system makes it like this. So it's not that we're choosing this. Sometimes we choose a career and the career chooses for us how we need to behave, how we need to achieve in order to get the degree, to get the license, et cetera, to do our jobs. I'm thinking about a lot of the people that I know who work in tech, and it's the same cultural idea that just keep going, next goal, next, never appreciating where you've arrived at. And we didn't just learn perfectionism from the system, our brains, et cetera. We also learned it from our homes. So I alluded to this earlier in the episode, but I'm curious how this played out in your home. Did you ever see your parents sit down and rest, even on the weekends? Maybe it was you get up on a Saturday morning and you're helping clean the house with your family, or your parents are waking you up and you're off to the first event of the day. Or maybe you do sit down and you're watching your favorite cartoons growing up, but then you see your parents behind you running around, cleaning, sweeping the floors. So I'm drawing a picture on purpose because we don't really think about that. It's modeled in our own homes because it was modeled in their homes, your parents' homes and your parents' parents' homes. So that awareness is key, because if we're breaking a cycle, it's important to see that it's happening. It's happening as we grew up. And so why would we know any different? And that's where the self-compassion comes in, because if you didn't learn any different, how would you know that having peace, calm, sitting down, having spaciousness in your thoughts is doable and also important? It's important to rest, to celebrate, to encourage ourselves in order to get ready and prepare for the next thing. And we see this even in the research on the nervous system, that we need that time to integrate all the things we've learned, all the things we've achieved. And then we hit the next milestone and we feel more prepared for that next sprint. And if we don't, what ends up happening? We burn out. I've burned out before, and I talked about that on episode 1. I've burned out many times from that cycle that I was talking about, that hamster wheel. I just kept going and I didn't listen to my body to slow down. I just wanted to hit that next milestone that meant way more to me. And I wasn't listening to my body. I listen now. It took many years to get to that point. And if you're listening and you're like, oh, I don't listen to my body, it's okay. You can start today. You can start in the minutia. You can start in little ways by listening to your body right now. What do I need? Maybe you thought that you wanted to do a big sprint on your next project today, and maybe you decide, I'll just take 10 minutes to go for a walk instead. Think about all the good things that I've done for this project already. So it's the little things that really count in the end. We don't we don't need to set these lofty goals. It can be moment by moment, which is much easier for us to digest. When you can't feel satisfied, just know that it's not your fault. I've described a few reasons for why that might be happening, but it could be other things too. And so thinking about this for your own life, this is not something that comes easily for people. When I say the word celebration, what comes up for you? How do you feel when I say that word? Do you feel like, not yet, I'm not really there yet, or, oof, that feels uncomfortable? So journaling about that, taking note of it is important, and getting curious about it. That's the whole point of these episodes. It's not to like, here's what you should do and go home and think about these things. It's just getting curious about your life and thinking about what celebration feels like for you, looks like for you. And we're not looking for perfection here. We're just taking small little steps forward, and the awareness of it comes first, and giving yourself a lot of love. You are swimming against a current that it's so freaking hard. It's not easy to do. This is not going to feel normal because of some of those factors I just mentioned. So give yourself some love on that. It's all about loving yourself loudly. You know what I mean? Don't got to be perfect, but at least we kind of know where things land and where they come from. So I took a few notes on ways that you could start celebrating yourself that are not lofty and like taking huge leaps, because that's not what we're about here. Loving yourself loudly means just taking small steps towards loving yourself, being more compassionate to yourself, and being more aware of your shadows. So the first thing I wrote down was a 24-hour rule. So basically the 24-hour rule is taking in the achievement however you want to, and not taking action on the next thing for 24 hours. So say you're at work and they said, congratulations, you finished this project, you met the deadline. And sometimes you don't even get that. Sometimes they're just like shooting you an email and saying, here's the next thing. Have a boundary around your email. If you can, do not answer that email for 24 hours. Absorb the energy of what you did, the satisfaction that you feel. Maybe it's you treat yourself to a walk in the park, or a nice scented candle, or something small like a small treat, to bask in the ambiance of the moment. Okay, this is funny, but like one of my favorite movies is White Chicks. And there's a scene where they say bask in the ambiance. And now I'm thinking of that. Okay, so let me get back on track here. But well, actually, yeah, write in the comments if you like silly, funny movies, because yeah, I love all those movies, the cheesy ones. The second way to start is to say it out loud. Say the achievement out loud. So yes, you can journal about it. Yes, you can say it in your mind. Oh yeah, I did this thing. I'm really proud of it. But saying out loud gives it more oomph. It gives it more substance. So maybe you say it out loud in the mirror, or you say it in your room or your office. Maybe you take it a step further and you say it in the elevator to strangers. You'll never see them again. Who cares? But hey, you guys, I just accomplished this thing. I'm really proud of it. I'm sure everybody in the elevator will be happy for you. Just saying it out loud gives it substance, gives it a period. It's like, I did that, period. Instead of moving forward on the next thing, like you have somewhere else to be, somewhere else to go, something else to do. Instead of all that nonsense, say it there. Say it right now. Say it to your boss. Sometimes you have to be clear about what you've accomplished. Sometimes you have to say in someone's face, I did this and I crushed it. I did exactly what I was asked to do, and I made it amazing. And I'm proud of that thing. And maybe the first time you do it, it's very awkward. Maybe you want to cringe. After you say it, you're uncomfortable. But the more you do it, the more it doesn't matter. You're just proud of yourself and you don't care how anyone reacts about it. But it starts in those little places where you feel safe. So maybe it's just for yourself at first. You say it out loud. Then it's to a friend that you know has your back and would be so proud of you. Then maybe it's to a parent that always feels so proud and happy for you. Maybe it's for a sibling. Maybe it's to your partner next. Maybe it's to a colleague. Then just start getting ruthless with it. Tell your boss how great you did. Tell people in different departments how great you did. Or if it's something you feel accomplished about at home, tell a neighbor what you're excited about, what you're proud about. So saying it out loud means something. It puts a period on it and it helps you to integrate what you did. The last thing I wanted to share is keep a win file. So keep a file of the accomplishments that you had throughout the year. And sometimes for me, I'll write them down for the year and then I'll look at them before the next year. Because a lot of times we are at the end of the year writing our goals for the year ahead, but we're not looking back at all the amazing things that we've done. And so that also increases your self-worth. How is it not? If you're looking back at all of that and you're like, well, okay, I didn't realize I did all of that. Or wow, I had all these really amazing goals and I met some of them and that feels really good. And so looking back is going to give you so much more confidence moving forward. And that's the love that we need to give to ourselves because no one else is going to give it to you. I'll tell you that. Maybe you do have a good community around you that is hyping you up. And if you have that, you're lucky, but most of us do not have that community. So being that for yourself is a radical act that you can do today to increase your self-worth and love yourself loudly. That's a huge one. So this podcast is called Love Yourself Loudly. And I want you to think about what you are celebrating today. What is one thing that you accomplished or something that you feel really proud about, something you appreciate about yourself and your personality and how you shine your light? And I want you to say it out loud. If you're in the car, if you're listening in your room with headphones on, I don't care. Say it out loud. That's the start. It just takes one small shift to do things differently. And the more you do it, the more you build a muscle around it. So that it just becomes automatic for you to say, yeah, I am that girl. That's the episode today. I hope that you're able to love yourself loudly and celebrate everything that you are and everything that you bring to this world. I'll see you next time. What's one thing that you've done recently that you never stopped to celebrate? What would it feel like to sit in an accomplishment for 24 hours before you move on to the next thing? What if satisfaction isn't something you find, it's something that you practice? Okay, real quick. Thank you for listening to this episode. This is for entertainment purposes only, and it's not therapy or medical advice. If you're having a hard time, please reach out to a licensed professional. If this episode hit home, please share it with someone who might enjoy it. You already know who it is. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you're listening to the podcast form, please rate and review. It helps this podcast reach the people who need it most. And before I let you go, one more thing. I have a free virtual workshop. It's called The Daily Gaze. And the link is right inside the description. So go ahead and click on it and enjoy it. I hope it's powerful and it shapes the way that you form an embodied relationship with yourself. Now, the most important thing is to come find me on social. You can find me at Dr. Nina Polyné or Love Yourself Loudly podcast. Until next time, love yourself loudly. I'm Dr. Nina, and I'm not sorry about it.